very good day to you. Hello and welcome to News Across Nigeria. I'm Olumide Macaulay. On today's program, Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki, his deputy Ekweremadu, former clerk and deputy clerk of the National Assembly, get bail at the Federal High Court, Abuja, in alleged fraudulent trial. Nigeria marks World Drugs Day as NDLEA puts estimated street value of seized narcotics in 2015 at over 22 billion naira. And Governor Ifeanyi Okowa commissions projects as Delta State government insists on developing every part of the oil-rich state. Us on the program today. We begin in the Federal Capital Territory, where the High Court there has granted bail to the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, his deputy Ekweremadu, former clerk of the National Assembly, Mr. Salisu Mekasua, as well as the deputy clerk of the legislature, Mr. Benedict Efeturi. The presiding judge, Justice Yusufu Halihu, says the accused persons must provide two reasonable sureties who must be Nigerians, men or women, who must own property in Asokoro, Maitama, Wusetu, or Gerki. Justice Halilu says the accused will be remanded in Kuje prison if they fail to meet the bail conditions. The suit has been adjourned to July the 11th for commencement of trial.
I oppose bail for the first, second, and fourth defendants. I did not oppose bail for the third defendant, that is the Senate President. And I gave my reason to the court that we don't intend to disturb the conduct of the legislative business on the floor of the Senate. And so there was no reason to oppose his bail, since the offenses for which he is being arraigned before the court are bailable offenses.
Well, the prosecution is doing the traditional job of a prosecutor. Ordinarily, I shouldn't see any reason why bail should be objected to, but being a prosecutor, he has to do his job. And we, on the other side, have to do our job. But the Administration of Criminal Justice Act is very, very clear. It makes bail very liberal, except if there are reasons why you feel that bail should not be granted. Like they raised the issue of likelihood of the defendants not coming to take their trial, but they didn't show any reason why they feel they cannot come to take their trial, particularly considering the status of the defendants. Mekasua, the first defendant, is clerk to the National Assembly, equivalent of head of service. The second is his deputy, second accused. The third accused, the third defendant is the Senate President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the fourth defendant is his deputy. I can't imagine them running away from trial. Where are they going to run to?
So you're ready for trial now?
Yeah, we are ready.
And I can see your client has gone, meaning you've fulfilled...
Yeah, we have fulfilled all their conditions, and they has gone.
Now, to take a look at the political implication of this impending trial at the Federal High Court in Abuja, we're joined on News Across Nigeria by Channels Television's political correspondent, Seun Okimbaloye. Seun, it's good to see you.
Thank you so much, Olumide.
In the very least, this must be distracting, to put it mildly, for the Senate President. No sooner is he facing a trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal than this other forgery allegation. What's the first issue that comes to mind?
The first issue that comes to mind, you remember that when he's facing the CCT trial, I mean, the CCT trial is also going on as we speak, it's still ongoing. He goes there alone, and sometimes he goes with some of other of his colleagues, and at the time when it clashes or it coincides with the plenary, is unavailable to do the Senate job that he's been that he's there to do. That means that something happens. Someone has to stand in for him, the Deputy Senate President. But in this case, the Deputy Senate President also is in this suit. The Clerk of the National Assembly is in this suit. So that means that somehow, if all of them are there, there are two major presiding officers of the National Assembly at the Senate. The Senate, the President, and the Deputy Senate President. If the two of them are not around, definitely you cannot go on with the proceedings at the National Assembly. And the worst case scenario, which of course the law also permits, or the standing rules of the National Assembly permits, that you choose someone in a temporary capacity to stand in for them, a pretemporal, or someone who is in a temporary position to stand in when they are away. And so naturally, this will affect the delivery of their own roles as presiding officers in the National Assembly. That's a very major thing that comes to mind when you have the two major presiding officers of the Senate involved in a trial such as this. It will require them that they go to the courts. Sometimes it may not, depending on what the channel, the way the trial goes. But at some point, when they are required to come and in the witness box, or when they are required to come and say whatever they know about the case, they will be physically required to appear before the judge.
We did hear the prosecuting counsel saying he didn't oppose bail for Senator Saraki, but he opposed bail for the other accused... the defendants, I beg your pardon. And but because he was keeping in mind that he doesn't want his duties bothered.
Absolutely. I mean, because in law also, there's some things, the things that are permissible. Your personality, when we talk about bail conditions and all of that, how your social standing, your what and who you represent in the society also matters, because there are conditions for bail. So if the Senate President meets bail, that means that one of the things that the lawyer to the Senate President says, look, this is a man who has always appeared at his trial at the CCT, so he's not someone who will evade justice or who will go away. Yes. So on those conditions, he was granted bail. So you need to meet those bail conditions. There are conditions, and so if he's met it on the conditions of what he represents, he's the number 3 citizens of the country. So in that light, the judge might look and say, okay, let's grant him bail. But ultimately, what this looks like is that somehow that arm of government is going to suffer some level of distraction.
It will. There's no way. I don't see how he will not be distracted, whether or not the trial goes on.
It's a legal proceeding.
It's a legal proceeding, yes.
In the eye of the Nigerian law, they are innocent until they are proven guilty in law. So as it stands now, no matter what it is, no matter what it looks like or whatever the case is, it will definitely be a distraction.
Does it say anything, sorry to interrupt you, Sheon, because of time, does it say anything about issues with the political parties that the Senate President and the other defendants belong to?
All right. I mean, you've just asked a question that will pose a long answer. But to just cut it short and just give you a direct answer, there is a history to this matter. And it's just about when the jostle for, if you trace the history, it's about the jostle for the leadership of the National Assembly. It was very contentious. Yes. APC got into the ruling position for the first time. We've seen an opposition come since the last 16, 17 years. So there was a heated, there was tension in the party as to who will occupy that position. If you look at the alteration or the session of the Senate rule book that has been affected, has been in contention here, is about voting, how they vote on the floor of the Senate, and also where the presiding officers come from.
Exactly.
So those are the major two poles in that in the Senate rule book that has been altered according to the law, allegedly. So it was a very big one, but in the end, it all goes down to politics and how it's been played. Whether or not some people played it well or they didn't. It all boils down to the fact that someone altered, someone did not alter. They need to defend that case and say the Senate President has issued a statement saying they're not involved in this and it's somewhat a persecution of the national state. Well, they need to be able to defend that and at the end of the day pull it through and tell Nigerians that they are innocent. But as it stands now, it's going to be a major distraction to the National Assembly and their proceeding in the days to come.
Yes, indeed. Some have gone so far as to call it a witch hunt. But
well, you need to prove that in court because it's a legal case now. So that needs to be seen through.
Many thanks. Thanks, Shehu.
You're welcome.
Shehu, you can catch him on Politics Today on Sundays, and I'm sure this is another issue that you'll be talking about on your program.
And later tonight at 7 p.m.
Later tonight at 7 p.m. Don't miss it. Okay. From there, we're going to take a break on news across Nigeria. When we come back, the Minister of Finance is speaking about the economy. Don't go away.